Mike, check, check, check. Justin Hunt. It's all happening. Thank you to everybody rocking with the channel. Thank you to everybody subscribed to the channel, who shared a video, shared a link, letting people know what we're doing over here. It's priceless. Big thank you to everyone who's donated. If you'd like to donate, you can hit the Cash App that's right up there, or you hit the link in the description. And big, big, big thank you to all my newest members, all the newest members of this community. David, Quentin Hagues, Big O Adrian, Jeff Raymond. 9-second applause. Thank you. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. It used to be Aubrey, now it's officially Lawbury. Drake Graham. Lawbury Drake Graham has filed an actual lawsuit, federal lawsuit against UMG for defamation. For defamation. Now, this is confirmed. I know there was a lot of discussion and spin that Drake actually wasn't suing anybody. It was just a pre-action petition. It wasn't officially a lawsuit. Well, now it's officially a lawsuit. In yesterday's story, we talked about how Drake withdrew one of the petitions, and that petition was the RICO charges, Rap Battle RICO. He withdrew that yesterday, which we covered, right? So, and Spotify said that's fine. Now, if you notice in the video, I said, we really don't know where UMG stands quite yet. The legal filing yesterday, the withdrawal of the petition, didn't say what UMG's position actually was. And today I think we have a better idea of why that's the case, because this morning is when Drake filed an actual lawsuit. Lots to unpack here. Today I've read through the legal filing. I read through the entire filing. It's 81 pages. It's a captivating read, actually. It's very interesting. I'll put a link in the description for people who want to check it out. But a few things real fast. One, if you guys remember my video on fighting Irish freestyle, I headlined the video, why does this exist? Because for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why Drake would leak that song or allow someone to leak it. I believe that's what happened. I believe he, at the direction of someone, leaked that. I believe it was Conductor Williams. But why? Why wouldn't you want to just leave 2024 and 2024? And in that track, he talks about LeBron. He talks about the shooting at his house. He makes reference to a judge's decision, which felt like he's been thinking litigiously for quite a while. He has a weird ending, closes it with a weird recognition of other religions. Not that it's weird, but it's weird coming from Drake. And in retrospect, there's been that odd series of events that I described 2 days ago in a video. 2 days ago. Continues. And honestly, fighting Irish freestyle is starting to sound like a weird side mission / foreshadowing. Because a number of everything that he's talked about in that song in one way or the other has come to light. Right. We saw Chris Blake Griffith's DMs on LeBron. And in the legal filing, the first thing that it opens with is the shooting at Drake's house, the embassy in Toronto, on May 7th. Introduction. A single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, and while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. Okay, so that's a quote from Lucien Grange. And that quote is from Lucien Grange in response to allegations that he was involved in the crazy stuff that Diddy is currently on trial for. Okay. This filing uses Lucien Grange as a literary device to paint hypocrisy, paint UMG as a bunch of hypocrites. Okay. But check out this first part. In the middle of the night on May 7th, 2024, an armed group of assailants drove up to the Toronto house in which Drake and his family resided. Drake was inside. The car stopped in front of the residence. Someone yelled, F Drake, and at least one gunman began to open fire. One bullet went through the security gate and hit Drake's front door. Another bullet struck and wounded a security guard who was also one of Drake's friends. While the car drove away, Drake and others in the house summoned help for the security guard and did everything possible to keep him alive. During the nearly 30 minutes it took for the ambulance to arrive, Drake and others labored to keep the man alive by applying pressure to the gunshot wound with towels. Blood was everywhere. After the security guard arrived at the hospital, surgeons worked quickly to remove the bullet, stop the bleeding, and save his life. Though it took days for his condition to stabilize, thankfully, the security guard survived. The very next day, May 8th, a different intruder used his bare hands to dig a hole under the security fence surrounding Drake's house. He managed to dig deep enough to squeeze through and enter Drake's property. Fortunately, Drake's home security guards caught him before he was able to cause any physical harm, although the trespasser managed to yell racist slurs and threats against Drake before being escorted off the property. May 9th, the very next day, another break-in attempt happened. In the 2 decades leading up to May of 2024, although Drake was constantly in the public eye, nothing remotely like these events had ever happened to him or his family. But these events were not coincidental. They immediately followed and were proximately caused by UMG's actions leading up to and on May 4th, 2024. They are saying that those 3 break-ins were caused by UMG's actions. Now, what did UMG do? Here's what they're saying UMG did. UMG is the world's largest music company and also the music company that has represented Drake for more than a decade. Yet on May 4th, 2024, UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that falsely accuses Drake of being a PDF and calls for his violent retribution against him. Even though UMG enriched itself and its shareholders by exploiting Drake's music for years and knew the salacious allegations against Drake were false, UMG chose corporate greed over the safety and well-being of artists. In controversy, UMG saw an opportunity, seized it, and continued to fan the flames even after learning of the incitement to violence on May 7th and 8th, along with the unrelenting vitriol towards Drake that has followed. Oh, okay. So what song are they talking about? The song in question is Not Like Us, written and performed by Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, professionally known as Kendrick Lamar. 1 second applause to Kendrick Lamar. The recording was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false allegation that Drake is a criminal PDF and to suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response. The recording is defamatory because its lyrics, its album image, and its music video all advance the false and malicious narrative that Drake is a PDF. The lyrics repeatedly accuse Drake of engaging in criminal acts, including by calling him a certified PDF and a predator who needs to be placed on neighborhood watch. Those are catchy parts of the song. That's a really catchy song. The image was designed to reinforce, and in fact reinforces, that accusation by depicting Drake's actual Toronto house covered in the icons that are known to be used by law enforcement, as well as public safety applications like Citizen, to identify child offenders' residences online. The video bolsters the same message by, for example, showing images associated with trafficking and juxtaposing the game of hopscotch with the lyrics accusing Drake of trying to strike a chord and is probably a minor. I know whoever wrote this legal brief had to be laughing in their head. Now, I understand this is a serious situation, but this is where we're at. Drake, if you remember, Drake's lawyers are saying the shooting at Drake's house was caused by UMG pushing Not Like Us. They're saying that UMG, this is the first time we have seen them direct causation or trying to argue direct causation that Not Like Us led to a shooting at Drake's house. That's crazy. Okay. Now, the thing that's most interesting about this shooting, and I'm focusing right now on the shooting and not the other 2 incidents of people coming up to Drake's house. I 100% understand that when you start saying certain things, it brings the crazies out, and labeling someone a PDF is one of those things. Here is the headline from the shooting itself. Here's police investigating shooting outside of Drake's mansion that left security guard wounded. Okay, now this time they felt like it was too early to discuss motive, but this shooting was very interesting because it takes place on May 7th, and A week before that, on April 29th, security guard shot outside the Weeknd co-manager's house in possible home invasion attempt. So you have Cash, who's the Weeknd's manager, his house is shot up. His security guard was hit. And then a week later, the same thing happens at Drake's house. Okay. Now, if you haven't been following this Shakespearean shakedown, the Weeknd was part of it. And if you haven't been following the Weeknd or Drake's career, they've had issues plenty of times throughout the past 15 years. It's just what it is. And so most coverage around this, and most people I've talked to behind the scenes, viewed the shooting as having more to do with having more parallels to what happened at the Weeknd's house than anything that happened with Not Like Us. But that's not what the legal filing is arguing. They're offering causation between Not Like Us and the shooting at Drake's house. Now, that's a big step, and that's something they're going to have to prove in court. But again, this is something that Drake talked about on Fighting Irish Freestyle. He says, hitters tried to light the front gate up. It wasn't for Christmas. I said a prayer that morning for Sean, and it wasn't religious. It came from a place of desperation and utter submission. Rapping was over for now. It came like a sudden decision. So even in this song that leaked, which I believe this is the first time Drake's alluded to the shooting at his house at all, he talks about that as being the reason he wanted to end the rap battle. Or you could infer, arguably, that that was the reason why, the shooting at his house. And now in the legal document, they're saying, oh, and by the way, that shooting happened because of this song. That's the first takeaway that I took from reading through this 81-page filing. And that is serious. That is serious. And I also think that's something that's very difficult to prove in court. Causation in that regard. Now, I understand this is a serious matter, and these are serious things that Drake experienced. And it's also, in my opinion, most likely why they opened their filing with this scenario. I think they wanted to add a human cost to what they're accusing UMG of doing. I'm not sure how this will play out in court, but this is in here. Next, so this lawsuit also talks quite a bit about where Drake was in his contract negotiations and makes reference to what they understand to be where Kendrick has been in his past two contract negotiations. Check this part right here. It says, notwithstanding his knowledge that all the allegations are fabricated starting in May 2024, UMG waged an unrelenting campaign to spread the recording, image, and video, together the defamatory material, as widely as possible. UMG did so because they understood that the recording's inflammatory and shocking allegations were a goldmine. Spreading the defamatory material served multiple purposes for UMG. First, the more people who listened to, streamed, watched, and downloaded the defamatory material, the more money UMG and its executives would make. Secondly, UMG's Interscope Records owns Lamar's entire back catalog of recorded music. The leadership of Interscope had every incentive to prove it could maximize Lamar's sales after only recently persuading him to enter into his own direct license for a limited recording commitment of new music. I'll read that one more time because it's actually pretty interesting. The leadership of Interscope had every incentive to prove it could maximize Lamar's sales after only recently persuading him to enter into his own direct license for a limited recording commitment of new music. Third, in contrast with Lamar's first direct deal, UMG's contract with Drake was nearing fulfillment, and on the information and belief, UMG anticipated that extending Drake's contract would be costly. By devaluing Drake's music and brand, UMG would gain leverage to force Drake to sign a new deal on terms more favorable to UMG. Okay, so that one, it brings the credits on Euphoria, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us to mind, because if this is true, Kendrick signed a limited deal basically just to bust Drake's ass, essentially, right? Because there's this other part right here in the filing. If you go down to paragraph 51, it says, on information and belief from 2012 through 2023, Kendrick Lamar was signed to an exclusive production company agreement with Top Dog Entertainment, which in turn furnished his exclusive recording services to Aftermath Entertainment Record Imprint, a joint venture of Interscope. The sound recording copyrights to Kendrick Lamar's first 5 studio albums are owned and controlled by Interscope. In 2023, having fulfilled his recording obligations to Top Dog Entertainment and Aftermath Records, Kendrick Lamar signed a new short-term exclusive recording and licensing deal with UMG through Interscope and an exclusive publishing administration agreement with UMG through UMPG, Universal Music Publishing Group. Through these contracts, UMG exclusively controls the release, publication, and licensing of all music products created by Kendrick Lamar during the term of the contract, including the defamatory material. On information and belief, Lamar signed a short-term deal with UMG to see if UMG could prove its value to him, to promote him more effectively than any other music company would in a compressed time frame. Okay, so they're saying Kendrick signed a deal in April, and Interscope had to really convince him that they can push Kendrick's music in order to win a longer-term deal. It continues. If successful, Lamar would then continue his relationship with UMG through a new longer-term contract. On information and belief, that long-term deal was consummated in December of 2024. On information and belief, UMG's contracts with Kendrick Lamar provide UMG the right to prevent the publication of and/or to insist on modifications to any material created by Kendrick Lamar, including but not limited to any content which UMG believes to be defamatory. So they're saying Kendrick signed a deal to bust Drake's ass, and then after Kendrick was happy with the marketing, allegedly, according to this lawsuit, he signed another deal. I mean, that's just a crazy thing to think about, I think. I've never heard of anybody signing a short-term deal and using it on a battle, essentially. But hey, K-Dot's always pushing margins. 1 second applause. But this is part of their argument, right? They're saying that Interscope had to really push the song in order to win more business from Kendrick Lamar, right? So they're alleging this is what their mindset was with Interscope in particular. Now, they go farther than that, to be honest, right? They even include Universal's pay structure as potential motivation for Interscope to push this song heavily, right? Here's paragraph 47. It says, UMG's executives are handsomely compensated for exploiting artists' works. UMG reports that its executive compensation is driven by its transition to more performance-based packages. UMG executives, including those at Interscope, have an annual incentive program through which they are rewarded for meeting and surpassing sales and profit projections, among other metrics. The incentives are largely based on the specific UMG division rather than the performance of UMG more generally. For example, the annual incentive or bonus of Interscope CEO John Janik is 90% on the financial success of Interscope and only 10% on the financial success of UMG. Makes sense, right? I think that's pretty standard for most people. But it gets really interesting when you look at potential other motivations that they're alleging in this situation. So Drake's lawyers are alleging that John Janik, who is the CEO of Interscope, had other motivations. Okay, here's what they say. On information and belief, each of Sir Grange, that's Lucien Grange, Mr. Janik, Mr. Monty Lipman, and Mr. Avery Lipman, Monty and Avery, they run Republic, which is also owned by Universal, which is the label that Drake's on, played a key role in the initial publication of the video, either in directing or approving the publication and or failing to prevent its publication, right? So they're saying that John Janik and Sir Grange let it go. They let all this defamatory material, as they're calling it in this document. They let it slide. But they're also at the same time saying Monty Littman and Avery Littman didn't stop it. Didn't stop it, right? Now, in my mind, that's a crazy thing to put in writing, right? They're essentially saying that not only did Interscope and Lucien decide to let this defamatory material, as it's called in this document, fly, but Drake's own label, his own label, didn't prevent Not Like Us from being published, which assumes that they knew that Not Like Us was coming. This assumes that Monty and Avery Littman saw and heard Not Like Us, the music video, before it published. So that makes me think about, have you ever thought that OV Ho was working for me? 1 second applause. Because if that's true, which is what they're saying in this document, then the head of Drake's label said, yeah, we're done with him. I don't know, man. Like, everything that Kendrick has said in this battle is just bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. 1 second applause. But it goes farther. Like, this is actually really interesting. This is paragraph 165. He says, on information and belief, Mr. Janik, again, that's the CEO of Interscope, further was motivated to surpass Interscope's 2024 annual goals at the expense of Republic and Drake, to position himself to be named as Sir Grange's successor, a position for which Mr. Monty Littman of Republic is also being considered. So apparently Lucien Grange is thinking about stepping down soon. Maybe that's news out there, but they're saying that Janik used Not Like Us and promoting it as heavily as they did at Interscope to position himself to take over for Lucien Grange at what point he steps down. Right. And it also says is that Monty Littman, head of Republic, is also being considered for that role, which to me negates the previous point. It's like, well, if Monty was being considered for that role and Monty knew this, wouldn't Monty have more motivation to stop, convince somebody, tell somebody that Not Like Us has defamatory material in it and we need Drake to win? Wouldn't he position that so that Family Matters or push-ups might be more successful, might do more numbers to help push Republic's goals? I don't know, man. Like there's some things. There's some things in this lawsuit here, right? He is saying Not Like Us caused someone to shoot up his house. He's saying that Monty Littman and Avery Littman failed to stop the song. And he's saying the CEO of Interscope was motivated to push this song because he had a short-term deal with Kendrick. And so he had to impress Kendrick. And at the same time, because of their bonus structure, he needed Interscope to be more successful so he could take over for Lucien Grange to be Lucien Grange's successor at the expense of Monty Littman. I got enemies. Got a lot of enemies. Golly, Drake. It seems like he's shooting at the home team here too, because I don't see a world where Republic, Monty Littman, Avery Littman, or anyone else would find it in their best interest to not stop Not Like Us if they thought they could. But all this is being alleged in this document. So there's more. One of the things that stood out to me about Fighting Irish Freestyle was I was trying to figure out the timing. In the video, he still has braids. He's talking about the pop-up. He's talking about cold shoulders and in the Hamptons when he's talking about LeBron. Not Like Us dropped on the 4th of July, which I understand. And there's talks of litigation, right? Now, we could take these bars here and perhaps he's talking about violence against Kendrick. Who's got the most to lose and who's in that other position? Signal conversations, well, I hope they got double encryption. I hate to see the empire crumble on judges' convictions. This nigga pulled a rabbit out the hat and y'all love a magician. Okay. Now, it stood out to me because in this document, they talk about the first time, they make mention of the first time Drake's legal team reached out to UMG's counsel. Here it is in paragraph 155. On July 24, 2024, Drake sent a letter to Universal Music's general counsel and head of litigation about the recording, which explained that the defamatory material falsely accused Drake of engaging in criminal acts, including trafficking, PDF, and or other acts that would require registering as a S offender. The letter made clear that UMG's actions were causing Drake concrete and subliminal harm, and specifically referenced the armed attack on Drake's house on May 7th. So on May 7th, on July 24th, they were trying to make Not Like Us the reason Drake's house got shot up, which is debatable at best to me. The letter demanded UMG preserve its records in the event litigation was necessary and cautioned that UMG's involvement in perpetuating a false, inflammatory, and dangerous conspiracy theory about one of its own artists is shocking and tortious under a variety of laws of both Canada and the United States. Following a telephone call between counsel for all parties on July 31st, 2024, UMG sent a letter to Drake's representatives in which UMG represented that it understood its preservation obligations and warned that it would be improvident or thoughtless of Drake to pursue these claims against UMG. On August 1st, 2024, Drake sent UMG another letter, again emphasizing the harm to Drake, as well as his businesses, that UMG was causing by continuing to promote the defamatory material. The letter demanded UMG issue a retraction and accept its responsibility in promoting and marketing the defamatory material. UMG's actions did not change after receiving 2 notices from Drake about the falsity of the allegations and a description of the severe harm he suffered as a result. UMG took no steps to address the matter. To the contrary, UMG continued to promote and license the defamatory material, including through numerous social media posts boasting of the recording's success and negotiating and paying for the recording to be nominated at the 2025 Grammys and played at the Super Bowl. Okay. Now, why does that sound interesting to me? Because in August, Drake posted this. This is August 25th, right? Now, as you can tell from the filing, one more time, all the way up through, all the way from August 1st and additional notices about how they felt about this song and the damage that Not Like Us was doing to Drake's reputation. After multiple meetings, UMG said, hey, it'd be improvident to pursue these claims. Right. So we get to the end of August. By the time we get to the end of August, Drake goes to his plot twist account and he posts this.
I'll put it in the front page, back page, middle of the page, wherever. Headliners, column 1 or 2, we will win game 2.
Backing off.
We will win game 2. We will win game 2. That's what he said, right? And people are like, what's this game 2 talking about? A lot of news around it. People are like, oh, what's this game 2? We have no idea. We have no idea what this game 2 is. Okay. So Kendrick comes out with a Super Bowl commercial and says, no round twos. No round twos, right? So we get to September, and Academics posts, round 2 will still proceed on September 8th. Knowing all these conversations about Not Like Us are happening in the background between Drake's legal team and UMG's head of litigation, this looks like his round 2 all along. It looks like this is round 2 the whole time. To me, it does. Academics goes further. He said, and this is quoted from Hot New Hip Hop, right? He says, but game 2, we will win. Game 2, we will win. That's a fact. If you think Drake finna abandon and forsake all them fans, you got to realize this is for the fans right here. You think he's going to let some PANs have something over him, his legacy and his fans? No. Hey, chat, F that. This, the new thing, Drake and 5. Drake and 5, people. Drake and 5. Remember I told you that. No. We ain't doing 6, 5. What's understood don't need to be explained. Y'all are going to watch it. Listen. We got to see where the game starts. We got to see, bro. Just watch game 2. Just watch game 2. Knowing that all that stuff is going on in the background, it's really starting to feel like this defamation suit was game 2. And that puts Fighting Irish Freestyle in a different conversation. This is why he's still talking about all these things that eventually happened. LeBron, okay, then we got Chris Blake Griffith. Okay, now he's talking about judges' decisions. Well, he went forward with a defamation case. He has been working on this for at least 6 months. At least 6 months. There have been conversations around this for at least 6 months. And reading through this filing and seeing that puts a lot of the things that we've seen towards the end of last year in a different context. Rap is weird right now, really stands out. That's what he said on XQC's stream. Rap is weird right now. I'm sure it is weird. You're filing a defamation suit against your label, and you're alleging that the heads of Republic, the label you're signed to, didn't stop Not Like Us, even though they had the chance to, while one of them is vying to be the successor of Lucien Grange, who you are also suing. The intricacies, the cognitive dissonance of a gaslighter, as Professor Scott might say, spilling everywhere, man. Spilling everywhere. Drake has had lawsuits on his mind for a long time, for a very long time. And that's another thing that stood out to me from this filing. Now, probably the most egregious part to me is when you start looking at this filing, you start to see a lyric breakdown of Not Like Us. And I'm someone who doesn't co-sign using rap lyrics in court. I actually didn't think Drake was either, to be honest, given the fact that his support for Young Thug, that case had lyrics and the Young Thug's lyrics at the forefront of that case, the YSL RICO. Given the fact that he paid for Top 5's legal fees, Top 5 was able to get out because the judge threw out Top 5's lyrics. They threw out his social media activity. They said none of that could be used against him in court. But this lawsuit has one of the funkiest breakdowns of Not Like Us I've ever seen. I've seen some crazy stuff on Genius. You know, like if you get to Genius too early and it's a song you want to see and people don't really know what the words are, like the lyrics mean, they put down very literal definitions, and a lot of times they miss the cultural nuance, or they get things that are just completely wrong because they're thinking about things through a very myopic lens. That's what they're doing right here in this Not Like Us breakdown. So let's check this out, right? Within the first minute, the recording identifies Drake by name and states that Lamar has heard that Drake has a predilection for underage women. Say, Drake, I hear you like them young. That's right. Well, he probably heard that from Drake, because Drake did say that on Taylor Made Freestyle. That's actually my favorite diss track that Drake dropped. But he says on there, tell him I like young girls as a gift for me. Heard it on the Button podcast. It's got to be true. Once take the balls from Taylor Made Freestyle. Still, that's the one that's still holding up the worst, but in a very awesome way. The next line is a thinly veiled threat that Drake should be careful that he never ends up in prison, a place where predators are notoriously the targets of violence. You better not go to cell block 1. That's a quotable too. That's a good line. I like that one. The recording continues to say that any woman who falls in love with Drake should be careful to hide her little sister from him. It's so funny reading this in a court case. I'm sorry. 59. Next, in a perverse reference to Drake's 2021 album Certified Lover Boy, Certified PDFs, in a play on the dual meaning of minor, a person under the age of 18 in a musical scale, the recording says that Drake is trying to strike a chord and it's probably a minor. 1 second applause. I'm sorry. I've been laughing at this all day long looking at this. Later in the recording, Lamar describes Drake as Malibu's most wanted. The recording continues to say that Drake and the people in his circle need to be served with a subpoena because a predator moves in flux, and asserts that Drake's name got to be registered and placed on Neighborhood Watch. That's a bar right there too. Now, this is the part right here. I tweeted about this earlier today. The recording also repeatedly suggests that violence should be used against Drake because he is a PDF, like the sound of someone being beaten up. The recording repeats, wop, 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 then later says Lamar will F him up. Well, they forgot a wop, but not to split hairs. Later, the recording threatens that if Drake comes to Oakland, where Lamar grew up, he will not make it out alive. I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop. The recording makes clear that justice will be served not through the legal system and or commentary on social media, F a caption, but through physical violence. One action, no accident, I'm hands-on, he F around and get polish. At the end of the recording, the lyrics threateningly repeat, hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life. I mean, yo, a few things here. One, I thought Dot was telling us to run for our lives. You know what I mean? I didn't think he was saying that at Drake. I thought he was saying, you know, sisters and daughters, they need to run because he's a fan. That's what I thought. Maybe I've been looking at that wrong the whole time. But two, Kendrick is not from Oakland, man. Kendrick is not from Oakland. Oh, man. So, nevertheless, this is their interpretation of the lyrics. Now, it does talk about a lot of the side missions, so to speak, right? The recording contains numerous additional statements that imply the existence of evidence to support the allegations against Drake. The recording threatens that Lamar could reveal more secrets about Drake. Rabbit hole is deep. I can go further, I promise. And that the public will believe him. The audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey, Drake, they're not slow. The recording continues by making reference to several Drake songs, Family Matters and God's Plan, and accusing Drake of being a liar for denying allegations of criminality. The family matter and the truth of the matter, it was God's plans to show y'all a liar. The recording also makes a vulgar attack on Drake's brand, OVO. What OVO for? The other vaginal option, P. And let me hear you say, OVO, OVO. Vulgar attack. I never took OVO as a vulgar attack, but I see what they're saying. Furthering the recording's refrain that Drake is not like us, the recording alludes to Drake's Jewish heritage, saying that Drake is not a colleague, but an effing colonizer. And this was one of the worst parts of this to me. You know, he's essentially saying that not like us is anti-Semitic. He says the song alludes to Drake's Jewish heritage, and that's why he's a colonizer and not like us. This is one of the most dangerous interpretations of this song for a number of reasons. But at the same time, I don't know who this interpretation appeals to. Right? Because there's actual real anti-Semitism out there. And not like us ain't it. Also, Drake he's been MAGA adjacent. He's been manosphere victimhood rap champion. I know that side of the conversation, they don't like when people weaponize stuff like this either. And also it's a disingenuous, dangerous connotation to put on this song. I did a piece last year called Drake Deserves the Smoke. Actually, I should put this as a playlist because it's actually a pretty great encapsulation of this battle. If you watch Drake Deserves the Smoke and then watch Shakespeare and Shakedown, it's a pretty good look. It's a pretty good look. One second applause to me. I'm glad I did that. But in that piece, I talk about the part where Drake weaponized racism, right? Where he told the world that he told his mom that Rick Ross was racist for calling him white boy, right? Now, I vehemently disagree with that. Maybe it's prejudice, maybe it's prejudice, maybe it's bigoted. It's definitely not racist, right? And the thing that stood out to me about that moment was Drake weaponized his racism in a casino in 2018. It was the Park Casino in Vancouver. They cut him off because he exceeded the new laws that the gambling body in British Columbia had put in place to curb money laundering. And so since they couldn't verify his cash in the way that they needed, Drake went to Instagram and told the world that he had been profiled by the Park Hotel in 2018, like after Scorpion dropped. The first half of Scorpion, and that's the good half. That's the one that I like. He did that again, in my opinion, when he told the world that he told his mom that Rick Ross was racist. And that's what this looks like to me here. Furthering the recording's refrain that Drake is not like us, the recording alludes to Drake's Jewish heritage, saying that Drake is not a colleague, but an effing colonizer. Now that is a dangerous interpretation, and he put it in a legal document. And this is something that's really based on a character pattern at this point with Drake. He's not afraid to weaponize anything that he needs to. And for all the things that are in this document, this is one of the ones that really doesn't need to be in there. Doesn't need to be in there at all. One, the song itself gives a breakdown of what he means by that. It's a Reconstruction era verse at the end of the track. He explains explicitly what that means. He did the same in the Harper's Bazaar interview that everybody hated on. Did the same exact thing. At no point in time has Jewish ever had anything to do with this song until now. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I think this is truly disgusting. Now, to be fair to this document, what they did was they took quotes that people said online in reaction to the song. And then they said that based on the way people were taking the song, or the people that they selectively included in this legal document took the song, that means that this is what the song is alluding to. They're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, as most legal documents, lawsuits tend to do. This one is particularly disgusting. Particularly disgusting. I need to find whatever the opposite of 1 second applause is, because I don't have it right now. But these are some of the bigger things that stood out to me in this document. Now, there's a number of other things that are in here, right? A number of streamers are called out. No Life Shaq is called out. Cenat is called out in this document as people who benefited from Interscope or Universal whitelisting YouTube accounts to allow people to play the songs. It doesn't include the fact that they did the same for Drake songs. That's not included in here. But Cenat, he's called out. No Life Shaq is called out in here. There's a part in here where they said that the week after the Not Like Us video dropped, Not Like Us got an additional 40 million plays at radio. 40 million plays at radio. Here's what it says. After UMG published the video, the recording returned to #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. In the week after the video's publication, the recording was streamed an additional 53.8 million times and played on the radio an additional 40 million times in a week. In a week. How many radio stations are there? 40 million times? That's almost as if every station was dedicated to only playing this song without commercials. Without commercials. I take this as an error, because if you look at the footnote, it just says ID. I'm not sure where that references. But there's no way that this song was played 40 million times on the radio. On the radio. So these are the things that jumped out to me the most from this legal document, from this lawsuit. The ultimate takeaway here is that Drake is doing this for money and he wants an injunction on the song. Okay, that's ultimately what he wants. Here's the 3 claims, right? The first claim is defamation. The second claim is harassment in the 2nd degree. And the third claim is a violation of New York general business law. And that violation is because of this lawsuit accuses UMG of paying at least one third party to use bots to stream the recording on Spotify. UMG then touted the recording's number of streams on Spotify while knowing that at least 30 million of those streams were false and fraudulent. And those 30 million streams are coming from, I believe, it doesn't say directly, I don't think. Maybe I missed that footnote. But the guy who went on academics and said he got paid $2,500 to give 30 million streams to Not Like Us, and also a piece of the song. Also a piece of the song, which is included in this document, which is one of the craziest. I've never seen anybody get a piece of a song off of sending his bots in that direction. That's crazy. And so ultimately, here's their prayer for relief, right? This is what they want. Nominal damages, compensatory damages, including general, actual, consequential, and special damages in the amount to be determined in trial. Punitive damages, reasonable and necessary attorney fees, reasonable and necessary costs of the suit, prejudgment and post-judgment interest at the highest lawful rates. Declaratory relief stating that statements published and promoted by UMG and those attributable to UMG as reasonably foreseeable republications identified within this complaint, individually and collectively, were and are false, right? So they want UMG to say, hey, this song ain't real, guys. And H is the big one. Injunctive relief enjoining UMG from making statements about the popularity of the recording, image, or video that it knows to be false based on fake streams or pay for play, and such other and further relief as this court deems just and appropriate. All right, so they want injunctive relief at the same time. So these are the things that stood out to me the most in this filing. Here's a couple of reactions that I thought were really interesting. Here's No Life Shaq. No Life Shaq was actually in the document. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, bro. Just like what the title said, this is exactly what's happening. This nigga Drake them snitched on the reaction community. It's no way. It's no way you got us in this case, dog. Nigga, we chilling, having fun. And you got us listed in the case? Oh, this gotta be the softest nigga ever, dog. Man, hey, Drake, you ain't hip-hop, bro. It's no way. You a great artist, I'll give you that all day long. I promise you. Can't take that from you. But, bro, you gotta be the softest nigga in the history of Earth. Yo, look at this, y'all. I ain't even finna waste y'all time, dog. Look at this shit. Look at this. Creators, basically the right to monetize our videos to spread, to defame his image, basically. Basically to make him look bad, they let us monetize our content. Nigga, what? That makes no sense. We was gonna react to it anyway.
That's the biggest point. They're going to react regardless. They're going to react regardless. We're all going to react to the songs. We've been reacting to songs that have come out that didn't have that grace period, that weren't whitelisted. That's the whole industry. That's how all this works.
I paid or not, nigga, we still was gonna react. Dre, you must be new here. That's the biggest thing we complain about. Copyright, nigga. Copyright. Niggas was gonna react anyway. This is the biggest beef ever, nigga. Do that make sense to you? Man, ain't no way this nigga this crazy, dog.
I'm with No Life Shaq on that. Now, to that point, Whoopin' Feet posted a video of Kai Cenat the night Family Matters dropped. Drake actually texted Kai Cenat and told him to stay on stream.
has just texted me.
Stay on stream. Drake was telling people to stay on stream. He was texting Cenat. Stay on stream. And then put Cenat in his lawsuit. Screwface John. Well, here comes the bombshell. Ladies and gents, Drake and UMG also didn't claim my original push-ups reaction either. So kept the file, buddy, for this exact day. So it's okay when they do it for you, but not Dot. Explain this. I need this tweet to get all the retweets and hearts because the world needs to see this. SMH. That's his push-ups reaction. Monetization is on. Screwface, I'm with you over there too. Raven Birdie, the colonizer bar isn't anti-Semitic. Historically, Jewish people in this country haven't been seen as colonizers and have faced similar discrimination as Black Americans. Drake weaponizing his Jewish heritage is pathetic and disgusting. Rough Criminal, I feel like Drake making this connection in itself is actually anti-Semitic. Kendrick spelled out the behavior with other rappers, and Drake's claiming in legal documents that it's a reflection of his heritage. Insane. We're in uncharted territory. We are in uncharted territory, but it's officially a lawsuit. So anyone trying to spin this and say it's not, they can't do that anymore. Anyone trying to spin this and say Drake is trying to help other people, can't say that either because he withdrew the petition for the rap battle RICO. All we have left is defamation and UMG not doing enough to stop Kendrick, who's also on UMG. Okay. I'm pretty sure UMG is going to countersuit. I talked to a handful of entertainment lawyers today. By their assessment from the outside, expect a countersuit from UMG at some point in time. Okay. I don't know what this looks like for Drake. Obviously, he's trying to get money. I think part of the speculation is that he wants to get out of his contract. But the thing that's also interesting in this document is it says that his deal is up is 2025, which gives more credence to what Jason Martin said to me that I thought was really interesting. If you've got a deal that's going on and someone is dissing you, chill out. Get your deal done first and then come back and do your thing. It didn't work that way this time. And Aubrey does not like it. Okay. But what does that actually look like? Right? What does that look like? Let's say Drake gets all the money he wants and he goes back to Universal. I can't imagine that building supporting him with the same fervor that they have over the past 15 years. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. And so let's say he gets out of his deal and he gets his masters back, which I guess would be the best case scenario. What has he done to his reputation? How's the artist community going to look at this? If there's anyone out there that he might want to align with or collaborate with, and they see how he, in my opinion, threw Monty Littman under the bus and Republic and Avery, threw him under the bus for not stopping Not Like Us. We just want to put anybody's name into a lawsuit. What does that mean for people in the future when he beckons their call? And what reputational damage is he willing to sustain in order to get Kendrick Lamar to not perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl? Which is ironic because I'm not sure how much of that song you could really play at the Super Bowl anyway. You can definitely get a hook. You definitely get a hook in there. You're probably just going to do the hook and move on in the first place. But this looks like the game, too, that they were talking about last July, last August. I think this is the game, too. Okay. This is their version of Drake and 5. And perhaps that victory is an injunction on Not Like Us, which would effectively keep UMG from promoting the song and perhaps licensing the song. I mean, it's currently available in their licensing area under winning and achievement, which is what that song is. It's a victory that I've never seen before. And it's led to a once famous actor paranoid and spiraling. At what cost? At what cost is he willing to go through? Because he lost a rap battle. And how long are these fans? Like, if I was a Drake fan, I'd be so tired. I'd be tired. Every day you got to flip one side, you got to flip to the other because Drake is flip-flopping, flailing out here to the point where how often can you even really justify a lot of this stuff? Can you really do it? We all have artists, we all have public figures we're fans of who do certain things and we don't necessarily agree with them. But Drake has got y'all on whiplash. I'll tell you that, because I'm watching people in my comment section flip the script from tweet to tweet. Just goalpost moving, goalpost moving, goalpost moving. What happens with battle raps, rap battles? What legal team is going to still be cool with this going forward? How many of them will be? These are real questions I have. Real questions that I have here. And the biggest one is, like I've been saying for a long time, I mean, there's a great discussion with me and Professor Sky on this channel. And we were talking about what Drake could do or should do going forward. I think we're way past that. But one thing still stands out to me very loudly is that all of this, in my opinion, could have been avoided if Drake was just a better person. All he had to do was be a better person. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I am flabbergasted. Let me know in the comment section what your takeaways are. If you've read through this legal document, let me know what you think. If I got anything wrong, anybody there who's a legal expert who might be watching this, or if there's things that I'm missing, let me know that as well. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.